Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to So Bad It's Good. Today we have a true Bravo historian. He's been on the show many times, but you just know him. He is one of the people that actually go, I think, hand in hand with Bravo, especially if you're on Instagram, you know this person. He also does some beautiful recreations of classic Housewives moments on his Instagram account and also for DirecTV, which we love DirecTV over here. But he truly is just a Housewives historian, and he also brings a lot of joy to it, a lot of silliness. He's sharp as a whip, and I just consider him a friend, but also somebody that I sometimes disagree with. And today I couldn't think of somebody better to recap the entirety of the season of Beverly Hills that we just went through. Since tonight is Wednesday night, we're recording this on Wednesday. It's the first time without a Real Housewives of Beverly Hills episode in what is it? I don't know. They started like 6 months ago. It feels like forever, but we're going to get into it because we were just talking about this, and it's like talking about almost a sports team. And I don't like sports, but it feels like this is what real dudes talk about. So without further ado, it's Steven at Faces by Bravo. Welcome back, dude.
Wow, what an introduction, and thank you for having me. I mean, I just like I said before we came on, I was ecstatic that you asked me to come do this. I've been waiting to debrief and word vomit everything that I'm feeling about Beverly Hills right now.
We've all been through a range of emotions that, some people have I'm in therapy now about this season of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
I mean, as Rinna said to Kathy, you need to get help. I got help. I needed it.
Steven, you need to understand why you do these things, Steven. It has gotten so full because the last season, you were on 2 seasons ago and last season, and we were arguing about I was for Denise Richards, you were for Lisa Rinna. This is 2 years ago, you guys. And sadly, Denise is not on the show anymore, but we're still in this kind of it even got worse. Rinna even amped it up from that point.
So before I even say anything with the Kathy and the Rinna of it all, if someone asks, so Beverly Hills, whose side are you on? I say Team Kyle. I am not on either of the other two. I am fully Team Kyle, and I cannot wait to.
Well, you love a good hat. You love Kimosabe.
I love Kimosabe. Yes. What did Kathy call it at the reunion?
Kyle Kimosabe. I don't know. Kimosabe. By the way, that's the moment where truly pissed Kyle off. Is you can say things about my family and me, but how dare you say things about my favorite hat store?
She was devastated. You thought you stole her goddamn house.
I will say, so just to give you also one of the more joyful, weird moments of my life, Steven was there for at the DirecTV party on Thursday night before BravoCon. It was me. You were with Christian Gray Snow, who we love here. He has a great podcast as well, you guys. But we were there and we got to watch Kathy Hilton have her It was
I got in that conga line.
I truly felt like that was when I was oh, the universe, somebody is playing us like a video game. There's no way this is really happening,
And what warmed my heart the most was when Christian posted that. I don't know if it was a couple of days later. Kim commented on the video saying, "Did I just see Steve?"
No, did she really?
Yes. And my heart just I love Kim Richards more than anything.
Well, okay. It was really cool. I got to be on Heather McDonald's Juicy Scoop today, and she was talking about her dream cast. And I don't know what you think about this. And she brought this up, and it was one of the things that I've thought about, but I've never spoken out loud is would you want to see Kim Richards return to Real Housewives of Beverly Hills in the state that it is now?
So I actually think a way to really sort of balance, obviously the ratings were through the roof this year. So in theory, they shouldn't have to do things, but they do need to do things, right?
Yeah, isn't it that the hardest thing is that was guys, it was it's the highest rated Housewives right now, and it did better than even last season. But I always say, but to what cause though? We all feel so much pain. There's no conclusion, and we're going to sit in this emptiness. So, I guess we're going to start at this point. Where do you change things, and would you want to see Kim back?
I think that a way to sort of balance the ratings are great, so we really shouldn't have to make a lot of adjustments, but we need to like bring in some reinforcements to sort of help the fan base out and help the show out, in the sense to get this toxic sort of feeling away from the show, is bring back a couple of the OGs, bring Camille, Kim, or Brandy, like a mix of those three.
What about would you want Denise back at all?
The only Denise,
but we get Aaron.
Yeah.
We get Aaron. Aaron can come back.
Oh my God. No, I'm welcoming a Denise return only if she does not pull the bullshit she pulled her last season on the show.
You can't do any bravo, effing bravo.
No bravo, effing bravo. No thinking she's above the show. No thinking she gets special treatment. Like,
well, you know what, Steve? Like, that's what I almost think. It's like, if I feel like Rinna now is playing this like a game, like Survivor.
Oh, totally.
So if we are going to play it like a game, we need to start instituting rules. And one of those rules should be, you shouldn't be able to say cut in the middle of a scene, for these housewives. If you don't go on a cast trip, you're fined. Like, you have to go on it. You can't decide you don't want to go on a cast trip. I feel like there's got to be rules. And the other rule, and this is obvious, and we've all been saying this is not a unique idea, you guys, I know, but we got to make them wear GoPros. We cannot let them go in any facility without a camera. Like, there should be no more canyon clubs or wherever the F they were that night. We need cameras on them 24/7 if they're hanging out on a cast trip.
Well, the thing that I thought was infuriating about it is, at least I don't know why they didn't leave the house and the Sprinter vans bugged. You know what I mean? Like,
I thought they always do that. I thought they were equipped for cameras at all times.
There's certain shows and production companies that'll do that. So like, if you think about the Bolo year, obviously they bugged the house and all of that.
They bugged Bolo's actual dick on that episode. He was wearing a GoPro. That would have been a great camera.
That would be quite a bird's eye view, I guess. And then I know Salt Lake City, because a lot of things were happening off camera, I think they were like sort of bugged throughout.
Well, yes, Stephen, remember, we got the iconic Jen Shaw on the phone looking directly at the camera and that was before they had said roll.
Well, that was also different because they were in the midst of about to shoot and all of that, but like,
they were planning on shooting the Sprinter van on the way up.
I'm talking like off hours.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like off hours in the middle of the night. Like, and people were like, well, this is my one thing about like Rinna and the critique of like, why didn't she get any of this on footage, or why didn't she film this? Could you imagine if Rinna is the only one in the Sprinter van and she just pulled out her phone and started filming Kathy in the middle of this?
Yeah, but see,
how would that go?
Okay, no, of course not. But you could, like, I have my phone right here. I can, like, while you're not seeing, I can hit voice memo and just hit voice memo and keep it down. And this is, by the way, I'm a grown man and I'm literally like, I would put it in my lap like this and hit voice memo and just go, yeah, Kathy, I'm with you. I think Kyle's a fucking bitch. Like, that's what I see. This is what the argument is. You said years ago, and all of you Rinna fans said, well, she's smart. She thinks on her feet. So for this person that everybody like was worshiping and saying she's the best, I do think she thinks ahead. I do think she would truly know how to hit voice memo. It's like she knows how to get into fights with all of us online. So I do believe she's smart enough to realize that would be gold. Like, if they get back to the Aspen house, why didn't she do it?
So I think like this is solely, I'm put myself in that Sprinter van. I am immersing myself.
You are becoming. I'm watching him become the Sprinter van right now, like a transformer. Yeah,
I'm literally transforming. So my theory is Kathy's probably looking at her the whole time, like eye contact.
Okay, I like that.
Feel like
no, you're right.
Screaming
like,
is happening. It's not like a Heather Dubrow in Ireland moment where there's multiple people around to sort of distract.
Yes,
the Kelly Dodd moments. Like, so she was able to capture all of that on a cell phone. Whereas here, I'm envisioning Kathy in her having the dialogue, more Kathy screaming at her, whatever it was that happened.
Okay.
And there's no way for her to subtly do that. That's just my thought. I have
that
no
actually
idea.
is the first time I've heard that thought, and that I can actually see, because when I met Kathy Hilton at the DirecTV party, I had like, listen, I love Kathy Hilton. I'm team Kathy, but I will say it shook me. Like, she was like staring at me like, and I was like, I'm so bad. It's good. You like my posts sometimes. And she goes, yes. And I was like, oh, like I completely crumbled. I was like, oh shit.
And if she was allegedly having a meltdown in that moment, imagine if she saw even a glimpse of a corner of a phone coming out.
Now this, I gotta say, you actually are painting something that I will agree. Okay, this is great, because I have not thought about this. And this is like, I want to disagree with you. Okay, but then did you hear that Vanity Fair reporter who was on Bitch Sesh, who did like a boots on the ground, where he was at that club and he had cornered, like he was in the back room with like a manager or somebody that worked there, and like it was just like them too. And he goes, "Were you here the night that Kathy Hilton was here?" And the person was like, looked around and was like, "Yeah." And by the way, you can hear this voice audio on Bitch Sesh, and I put it into my Monday episode because I just thought it was fascinating. And they said to this person, okay, we've seen it all the time. It's like altitude sickness. People think they can handle a couple of drinks. Kathy had a couple of drinks. We see it all the time. And then Kathy just sat there and waited for the Sprinter van. And this person said to the Vanity Fair reporter that the person that was like, was an a-hole was Rinna, and snapped at the coat person. And said, like, this, by the way, this is not me making this up. You could hear this audio, and you guys might have already heard this audio, but it was a different perspective of like, Kathy was definitely shit-faced, did not plan on the altitude, which I could see, like I could see my mom doing that.
You know what? When she said in the sit down with Kyle, and she was like, wine, another glass of wine, altitude, blah, 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 whatever. It made me think of when Sonia used to blame when she was wasted on the barometric pressure. It must have been the barometric pressure. Oh yes, the barometric pressure. That's what I thought the whole time.
Well, hey, listen,
could have been like 17 martinis.
I mean, by the way, cheers to Sonia Morgan. I still like she admits to wearing diapers on the jitney. Like she was like, I can just pee in my diaper. It's good.
Oh, well, I invited you to the gay extravaganza at BravoCon. You didn't come, but Sonia Morgan did. Dude,
I saw that. I think Christian's posted up. Maybe you were yeah, Steve, because I was like, Steve, why all this straight hate? Like, why do you, it's like Steve is like proudly gay. And like, by the way, at BravoCon, that is like a woman and gay man's event. So I see this thing in his stories of like, for all the gays out there, we're doing a party at like the Eagle or something. And I just walked right up to him I said, what is this hate you have against us straights?
It's crazy. Like what the straight male goes through in this country.
Oh, see, that's what I'm saying. Like the white straight male, like, dude, we've had it so tough.
It's honestly,
it's an epidemic.
It's
truly,
we really need to start a foundation of some sort. Maybe
I'm so glad you said that, because I just felt like
probably run by Kathy Hilton would be on the board.
Yes. Ryan, I'd like to bring up a few points. No, but by the way, Sonia Morgan did show up to a Sunday party, and it was like
at the Eagle.
There have been a couple times in my life where I've wished I was gay, and that was definitely one of them, because I would have been.
Well, I invited you.
You did
remove that straight barrier.
You said I'll make an exception. You said you're passable. You're gay passable. Yeah, you can. If we get a few more pounds off you, we're good.
I really put my hand out across the aisle, and I welcomed you in.
No, you said as the president of the gays, we would like to extend.
I'll add you to the listserv.
But when I met Kathy, it was like kind of intense, so I could see that. But then, okay, so I guess they get back to the Aspen house, and this is the part that really confuses me, because that's when she texts Erika, right? But then even in that moment, you would figure the Aspen House is equipped with cameras of some sort, right? Or maybe there's a rule that they have to turn them off at night for Kyle.
So I think this is literally all speculation. I have no idea.
But also, we're going to take this as complete fact.
Complete fact, of course. Take it and run with it, please. Yes. So I'm thinking I think it really does depend a lot on the shows and production companies, and it depends on maybe what are in some of the contracts as well.
And Kyle's been there since day one.
What's that?
Kyle's been there since day one, so I think they would be more apt to do things that like, hey guys, Mauricio's staying here. We're gonna cut the cameras at 10 p.m. You know,
right? They can put stipulations in their contracts, like I can't be filmed or recorded without my knowledge. It has to be very obvious. Like
you can't do a Lisa Barlow hot mic moment on me.
Yeah, people could put that in there, which could mean I get no cameras or mics in my bedroom. They can get around that by putting a mic right outside your bedroom, but it's not in the bedroom. You know, like it's things like that. So I'm wondering if they were like not worried, I guess, about a lot of off-camera shenanigans, and that's why.
How do you not work? Wait, see, this is the part that I don't understand. By the way, this is produced by Evolution, and Evolution, like they're kings, you know, like you got Vanderpump Rules, they produce like really, like I think good. I'm sorry, I think they managed to be very successful. So I would think going into this, just watching Rinna on her reactions at the homeless and toothless events. I'm sorry, homeless, not toothless events, and the other things at the Rinna Rosé party, I would think they would see like Rinna is like very activated at anything. And Kathy came in halfway through the season. She was pushing her tequila. These other ladies did not seem to be loving Kathy coming in the middle of the season. I just figure they would have prepared for insanity.
I would like to think that they would have left up cameras, and I just don't understand. Unless there's something in the contracts, I just don't understand how they dropped the ball on not putting any sort of bugs or.
Do you think there is footage and we just haven't seen it because of legal reasons?
I don't think so. No, not at all.
Okay, now, you know, as a fan of this show, you also are at a point though that you become friendly with these people. You know these people. Does that ever do a disservice to you as a viewer? Because for me, sometimes I'm friendly with Sandoval and Ariana from Vanderpump Rules. So I see, you know, their perspective a lot more because I know them. And like, I'm like, oh yeah, I can see where that got edited out. And I'm very much of like, oh, well, shit, they're like great people. Does that ever affect you and your enjoyment of the show? Because I'm sure some of these people are going like, well, you got to really understand the situation was this.
Yeah. The thing I would say the one time that this has affected me. And I also want to clarify too. I feel like people probably also think like I have friendships with some of these people. I have acquaintances. Yeah. It's not even, you know, like, of course there's some that I actually do consider friends, but really I don't just because like I've communicated with I don't consider them friends. I just acquaintances. But the only time that
you're not calling them in the middle of the night going like, right, I'm in jail, I need you to bail me out. Like they're not that kind of friends.
Although, you know, there's enough lawyers on or non-practicing lawyers that I feel like I should call one of them up if I need it. But was the only time it ever was a problem in the sense that like I had to take a break from watching it because knowing other things that actually transpired and whatnot was really the Potomac and the whole Monique stuff.
I got to tell you, because I remember because I got to interview Monique. I was lucky enough to interview Monique a couple of years. I don't even know when, but I know also that was based on a recommendation, I think from you as well, or you had said, and I was heavily team Monique during the Monique Candiace days, which is kind of weird because now I'm watching Potomac and I'm starting to like
the season is Candiace's
like I'm starting to really, and I like Chris a lot, and I gotta say it's like weird, but it's kind of what I love about Housewives is that we can switch our opinions, and it doesn't make me love Monique any less, because in that situation, I still agree with Monique in a lot of ways, and don't argue with me about it, folks. But I am like going like, I kind of like Candiace, kind of legendary, like not today, neck, not today. Ankles. Like that's kind of legendary behavior.
So you probably, I feel like we've talked about this in the past when we've been on the show together. But I used to say all the time, I wish we were seeing the Candiace that I know who she is, and not this overproduced, over the top Candiace. And I feel like we're finally seeing the real Candiace that I was always talking about. Well, this is the Candiace I like to see.
But what shocked me too was that last night of BravoCon, it was Sunday night after the Watch What Happens Live thing. I was staying at the Gansport where a lot of them were staying, and I was up at the very top. And I mean, it was just like kind of it was really, you had like Tamra and Heather Dubrow and Meredith Marks and Vicky Gunvalson with Caroline Stanberry. It was like just like a shocking
Jen Shaw.
Yeah, I mean, Jen Shaw was like dropping it. But what I did notice also on that Sunday night was I looked to the left, and Candiace and Chris Bassett were having like one of the sweetest moments I've seen, where they were like, they were sitting on this couch and they both had their legs kicked up, and he was like cradling her. And it was like, they were just like talking, and you could just tell it was this sweet moment where I was like, I was going to go over and say, hey. And then I was like, you know what? That seems like two people like genuinely in love. And you sometimes forget that you're like, oh, that is a real relationship.
Right. Right. And no, and that's the thing is like, I felt like watching the show, I was like, this is not the Candiace like I had ever come in contact with. This is a totally different Candiace. And now this year, Candiace, though, what we're seeing so far, I'm like loving. I'm like, this is what I've wanted you to show. I feel like she's finally, I don't even know.
Is that growth, or is that growth on our part as an audience, or is that growth on her part?
I feel like we're seeing a huge difference in her. Like, I feel like
I agree.
Her reactions, I really think this music, her like funneling all of her like passion into her music, maybe has helped focus her in that way. To a point where she's like she's hustling.
I mean, she's really putting the work in. Like, if you actually look, she's always doing performances now on the week. Like, even I was in contact with Chris Bassett, and he was like, "Oh, we're going up to do this show," and I was like, "Okay, cool." Like, but I was like, that is a hustle that some people just don't have, because it's like me when I came out here to try acting. It's like a Powerball chance of actually succeeding, and you see, though, the more work Candiace puts into it, the more confident she gets, and the bigger she kicks open the door for herself. And that's actually
the more
true
she doesn't
power,
pull up, and the more she doesn't put up with shit, but she doesn't give Giselle what she wants. Giselle wants that meltdown.
Which is that, but see, that's what I love about the Housewives is those are the power structures. And I think that's why we like Beverly Hills so much, is that's how psychological it gets. Cause we know Giselle wants to get under that skin. And then we see Candiace actually strengthening and growing, and Giselle is one of those characters.
And Robin is thriving.
Oh,
thriving.
But Giselle, I used to be Giselle and Karen. It used to be like the Batman and Joker. They need each other. They kind of need each other.
Voldemort and Harry Potter.
Yes.
One won't survive while the other, or one will, what is it? One survive. They survive on. They're symbiotic.
Yeah, you need each other to survive, and that's what I love about these relationships. But Giselle, I love when her power moves don't work on somebody anymore, and it's kind of like on Nightmare on Elm Street when you're like, oh, just don't believe in Freddy Krueger and he disappears. That's no offense, Giselle, to call you Freddy Krueger, but that's kind of it.
Offense.
Okay, well then, but to take it to Beverly Hills, though, to take it back there, is that where. Okay, so where do you land as a Rinna fan, though, watching this season's performance? If we were watching the tape like a sports season and going, okay, if I was presenting you, okay, she flipped out on Sutton at the Rinna Rosé party. She flipped out on Sutton at the Homeless Not Toothless event. I am a slut for life. I am a slut for life. Of my crush on Sutton Stracke. I've got to tell you my Sutton story in a sec, but I saw her wig out in a way. People are like, oh, well, what was her, I know the grief of her mother and Lois. And I was actually, I loved watching Lois on that show, but Rinna's thrown fits for many years, but these were so extreme that there was a falseness to it for me. Like it was almost like she was trying to do something that never landed.
The one that I felt was the trying. I felt like there were a lot that were genuine, like freakouts, but the one that I was like, oh, I'm just cringing right now is, if you come after my family, I will hunt you down. It was the weirdest delivery and like out of nowhere. And
it was like we're at your house. You're not like Harry Hamlin is hiding in a bathtub right now somewhere just because he's scared.
And you're not gonna. I mean, yeah, you can hunt her down. She's sitting right in front of you in your home. Like,
well, and also, are we allowed to like fully threaten people? Like, are we? I mean, it was getting to the point, and then. Okay, but then to bring in the terrible twosome or it's like you bring the Erika Jayne into it, and these two feet. I mean, talk about just egging each other on.
Very controversial opinion.
What is your
Erika.
opinion?
I feel like
actually a virgin.
This is Erika's best season, in my opinion.
Tell me
of all time.
Why. No, I want to hear why.
And I'll tell you why. Because I really don't think Erika over the years really brought that much in reality.
No, she was pomp and circumstance. She was costumes, and she was what I believe
married
to be
Tom Girardi. She had their singing career,
written talking headlines, very like with the sipping of the champagne. I thought it was all very staged.
Yes. And then fast forward to last season when everything starts to come crumbling down. Right, we finally start seeing her all of a sudden open up and be vulnerable. And I was saying, like I've said from the beginning, I don't think she knew anything of the Tom stuff.
But you don't think she's realized, like, see, even me was like, are lawyers really making that much money? Like, I remember thinking that and then going, it was the same thing with the Jen Shah stuff. Remember that reunion, the first reunion where Andy was like, hey, Jen, explain what you do. And she started explaining. And I was like,
Wizard of Oz.
I was like, well, that doesn't really make sense. But then we cut to Mary Cosby, who had even a crazier story. And I was like, I just forgot completely about my thoughts of like, well, that doesn't make sense at all. And that's the same thing. I'm like, but I do think there's a blissful ignorance when you're spending somebody's money that is millions and millions of dollars and your dreams are starting to come true because her dream was to be a performer and like her dreams are coming true. Do you really ask where the money's coming from? But she had to have had doubts,
going off of, and again, so before I even start this, I will say, like I said, I believe she didn't know anything. And then she started being vulnerable and opening up last season, right? Well, it was almost like a moment of cry wolf because you were supposed to be showing us your reality for the past 5-6 seasons, right? But in what you're telling me last season is you weren't showing your reality. And now all of a sudden when you're going, the heat's there, you're giving us all of this. I believe she actually is really opening up to us finally. And then I have never liked these past 2 seasons, how she has handled everything when it comes to like the victims and all of that. However, I understand the legal piece of it all. Like I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know, but I've always just said, like, if she talks about empathy and all of that, could that be used against her in the future?
Okay, but see, I agree with you to a certain point, but then you also if we're taking that as the reason, she also then shouldn't be able to say, if these victims are even telling the truth, that would be, I would figure that would be a red flag as well.
I agree.
So my thing is,
I don't think she's handled it right at all.
Well, what I feel like we're really seeing, which is actually kind of to your point, fascinating, is we're really seeing the stubbornness of a woman that is saying like, F you, I am going to get mine. And I didn't like that. To me is kind of this
her leaning into the villain.
Yes. Not even villain. I think it's leaning into actually her real feelings,
Well, I mean, I guess, she also leaned into the villain role for the show almost. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, for her to say in Aspen, which it still shocks me that we were talking about Kathy Hilton and Rinna when she had the episode before of like, I don't care about anybody but me. And Rinna had to get her out of there. She's like, fuck you. To me, That was
And
like,
that's why I
holy
say,
shit,
Erika Jayne, this is your best season yet. Like when she literally, I don't agree. She's a monster for saying all of that stuff, but is that compelling
But you're
television?
saying, but that's compelling television, and that's the reason. Okay, so
I don't agree with her. Oh,
no,
God,
no. But I agree. I know what you're saying, and my dad always makes this point. He doesn't. I made him watch a Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and he didn't know. He was so ashamed of me. But like he says, you need the villain. Like he even like I made him watch a couple episodes of Vanderpump Rules. He goes, that Jax guy, that guy's an asshole. You need that guy. Like he was like,
I swear to God,
that.
there is the Beverly Hills fan base in there. Like from what I see online and how fiery it gets, it almost looks like, okay, they want a cast that has no quote unquote villains, right? And when that happens, you have one of two things. Either it's boring as hell because no one's going to fight, or two, well, if you don't have any of your villains, someone's got to become the villain. So eventually your faves are going to become that villain in a group.
Well, and this is what I love about these shows. And I mean, for me, the Rinna thing has just gotten so old. Like it's just like, okay, but now I feel like she's a caricature of a character. And like, I'm getting bored with that. Like next, what is she going to explode? I mean, like she just keeps getting angrier and angrier, but it's the same shit to me. It's the same shtick. Like, it's like, okay, at least with Erika, you could make the argument that we're seeing a different side, even though I don't believe she's like, I've been persecuted. If we're going to talk about Erika Jayne, we're going to
I agree with her on that.
No, but like, she thinks she's been persecuted. In reality, she was yelling. Like, this is why I love Sutton too. I told you guys, Sutton could have came into this season with her tail between her legs going like, I do not want to get yelled at by Erika Jayne ever again. And she didn't. She came in with her head held high. That's what I'm like. Most people, myself included, would have backed down completely after they got their ass chewed out by Erika Jayne at that Kathy Hilton dinner. So that's like shocked me about Sutton, because I got to say, I didn't think she had it in her. And that's why I am a Sutton stan for life until she becomes a villain.
Can we just talk about the fact that this season, I want to say a little, maybe 65% of the season was thank you, Sutton. And then the other 35% would be the Kathy Rinna drama at the end of the season. But Sutton literally got into it with everybody.
Why wasn't Sutton a bigger part of the reunion?
So I was thinking about this when watching the first episode of Reunion. So we all were up in arms the past two seasons about her seating placement, right?
Yeah.
She deserved to be next to Andy, right? Honestly, I now understand probably why. Sutton at Reunion, and I don't know what it is, because it's not like, I feel like it's the same sort of as when you're filming in person, like in a scene, you have to be just as quick in both places, right? But and Sutton has been super quick and super present and super at the forefront of everything this season. But at Reunion, she was just so quiet, and I don't know.
She's like, she was good for a reaction shot because she'd get those wide eyes. When she was great at reaction shots.
I have to say, I applaud her so much for saying to Rinna, I don't consider you a friend, and going into that. It was so calm, matter of fact.
See, that's why I was proud of her, because it's also like, but that's what I also say with Erika, because I feel like she does give Erika a little more leeway than, and I'm like, these aren't your friends, man. Like the way Rinna talked about you with Erika Jayne, even Kyle, I was like, sometimes like Kyle makes fun of you behind your back. And I know you're a huge Kyle stan, but like, I just want Sutton to be respected. And that's why I started really enjoying and rooting for the Garcelle Crystal friendship. Even though there were bumps along the way, I was like, if you guys really can get together on this, you really have a chance of toppling or at least competing with the Fox Force 5. I'm a grown man, and I literally just said that sentence. Jesus.
I also have a hot take on the Fox Force 5 and sort of our perspective of it,
because your Freddie favorite reality show person of all time is Freddie Mellencamp, right?
Oh, Teddy. I'm still dead at the amount of like hate she gets, and she's not even on a show anymore.
Because it's so well right now. It's like Batman. It's more of a symbol than it is anything else. It's not even really personally her anymore. To me, it's like the symbol of
The symbol,
because
yes.
every housewife wants to get back on their show, right? But
Yes.
Freddie is the ultimate. I call her Freddie, but like
I'm dead.
Teddy's the ultimate symbol of that. So, I think she brings it on herself a lot of the times, and
Yes.
especially because she's now fallen into she has a huge podcast with Tamra. Now, Tamra, to me, I'm like, I get the Tamra stuff. Like, I get where she falls into the OG category. I watched her like get information at Bravo. I was watching her dance around. Teddy is like a clumsy version of Tamra where she thinks she's like Walter Cronkite. Like she thinks she's like a real newswoman.
Yeah.
And the reality is that like, she's just kind of clunky at it. And in my personal opinion, and the
Or
thing
as
is,
Diana would say, clumsy.
you're
with the words.
clumsy. Wait, by the way,
Clumsy with the
Diana, I mean, Kathy Hilton was a friend of. Diana seemed like she was a walk-on at that reunion.
I would have been thrilled if she didn't even show up to the reunion period. I did not need to see her face
I am
on my screen.
brave. I am here sick from Hawaii.
Reading from a teleprompter.
Yeah, what was that? I mean, you could tell that she was reading. And by the way, today last night, there was a thing that the bot mystery, which is just another whole insane. That's the other thing too, Stephen, is that like, where is your take? Because you are so big on social media. You were one of the first Instagram accounts to really explode in Bravo years ago, but watching how it's grown, or I guess how it's not grown, because it's really sometimes bottom of the barrel negative. Like, I mean, I'll even fall into that a lot of the times, but I feel like there's a whole second show of Beverly Hills that they're not even capturing on camera. And it's a really dark Beverly Hills.
It's interesting because I was talking to my friend Spencer about this, and he mentioned something that's really probably pretty true about the Beverly Hills franchise. And I feel like kind of unique to it is there is a whole piece of the fan base that literally hate watches the show.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
1,000%.
Like there's not even
1,000%.
a piece that is enjoyable to them. They just hate watch it. And I just don't get it. Like, go touch grass, go like do something else. Like,
you know how, I mean, real grass is hard to find, Stephen. That's, I mean,
I
like,
know.
I will say no. And you're right though. Like I will, like Potomac, I was saying, like, I watch with a smile on my face.
Yeah.
Like Salt Lake, I even actually really like, I'm looking forward to tonight to watch Salt Lake. I got to tell you, I've fallen into at times the Beverly Hills hate watch because I'm like, no effing, like it really got toxic in my own mind, certain aspects of this, but I will say that was fed by the offline crap. Like Rinna, like even today, Rinna continually posting of like, there was 2 receipts. There was 2 manila envelopes of receipts, Andy, and you didn't, you know, like, I'm like, it's done. Let the mouse go. It's done.
Yeah. As far as like the social media of it all, like fun shade is great. That's the best part because the women can laugh at themselves most of the time and, make it fun, make it funny.
But only certain ladies can actually do that well.
Right.
And by the way, they shouldn't be hiring us to write their tweets for them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I want these ladies to really bring it themselves.
Right. Well, but then you have people, there's 2 things that drive me insane. People that are DMing these women death threats and all of this. Like,
come on,
it's
man.
So insane to me. Like, how would you go literally walk up to her, whoever sends these death threats and terrible messages, whatever, would you go up to them in real life and say that? Probably not. Which brings me to my next point is I understand that there's people that want to have their like Finstas or like their accounts, even if they want to be like completely anonymous with a Bravo account or whatever, I guess. But like, if you're going to be a kind of keyboard warrior and saying a lot of things to these people, at least be able to put a face to that, because like stand by it.
Yes.
You know,
that's the only thing I do sometimes, you know, like even with Twitter, to me, like Instagram is actually sometimes quite pleasant, where Twitter is just like, it's just a hellscape. Like, because also you don't really know who you're arguing with most of the time. They don't have their real picture. They don't have their real this. And it's like, no matter what, like I'm the geek that's writing this crap and I'm not hiding behind another account. Like I'm not like, I don't even have a Finsta account. I have my personal Ryan Bailey account, but like I
Same.
pre-blocked Rinna before Rinna blocked. I mean, by the way, I'm sure Rinna would have blocked me, but I pre-blocked her because I just didn't like, I was making jokes about Rinna years ago. And like my weird mind, I was like, well, I don't want her to stumble upon it and get her feelings, so I was like, I'll just pre-block her. And I'll do that with certain people where I'm like, it's not, it's not worth it to get into an argument because I'm not looking to have them respond to this,
Right. And if there's like, anytime I'm on the fence about like whether like a meme that I find funny, that's kind of shady, but like if I don't feel like that Bravo celebrity will see the humor in it, obviously I would never tag them in it, but it always blows my mind that people in the comments will then go and tag them. And it's like, they don't, I mean, I would have tagged them if I wanted them to see it. Usually, and oftentimes I don't feel like I cross that line too often.
You don't actually. In fact, I was just looking about your recent stuff and there was not a lot of like shady, to the point where I was like, oh, unfortunately, Steven's growing as a person. I was very disappointed, but I will know it. But what I will say is also there's a this makes it sound so lame. There's a delicacy to it where it's like even using Christian Grey Snow, who I love, I hit hard, but like Christian will sometimes like annihilate. And but guys, it's different than like, just your average Joe Schmo, because to me, there's an art to what he does. And I swear to God, I'm not joking. There is a true joke there. It's a harsh joke, but a joke. But then you'll read the comments, and I'll do this with mine too. And then people like, it's like they even go harder, and it's not even funny anymore. It's just like, that person's an asshole.
Then you start to feel bad,
piece of shit. And then I'm like, oh, should I put like, I didn't mean to like get the wave of hate going. My mind is OCD, where it's like you try to find the joke that makes you laugh the hardest in your own head. And sometimes for me, those are like base jokes,
Yeah,
and
totally.
I mean, I'll notice that it was Christian sometimes, and I'm like trying to think of other accounts, but like they know how to, like there's a taste there still, if that makes sense.
Yes, for sure. But exactly what you said. Sometimes it can be cutting, but there is a joke there underneath.
Yes, like there's an actual joke that you're like, because sometimes I'll even post things that I don't necessarily agree with, but I'm like, the joke's so good though. I think it's such a good, I want to see if people respond to it, which is just insane. So Rinna, where do you leave off of in terms of this season? Two seasons ago, you loved her, and do you think she comes back? Because also we didn't get into it, and we're not really going to, but like the whole bot controversy, which I've talked about ad nauseum on this from a couple weeks ago, there was this really weird part of me still that I don't know if I have to say alleged with my own feelings, but like still believed that she was so angry and upset that she did have something to do. Like I saw her in other Instagrammers DMs, like she was egging certain things on. So if she'll do that, then I was like, well, what's to say she's not actually behind? And the whole, who's the dude, the guy that said he worked for Kathy and then Rinna, Patrick.
Oh, Patrick Summers,
my God. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, well, I don't get, like, to me, I'm like, well, is Rinna involved in this? Like, and if she is, that would be an automatic gone for me.
I don't think anyone was involved in any of this. However, I did find it very dumb that she deactivated her Twitter yesterday, the same day that Diana's team found out who bought
I didn't even put that together.
I did yesterday, and I was just like, oh my God, Rinna, no. Like, I truly don't believe she was behind it at all.
What horrible timing.
But that timing could not have been worse. Like, way to go. So this season with Rinna, I did not enjoy Rinna pretty much most of the season, unfortunately. The way that she went at Sutton was just so insane to me. I didn't get it.
and not warranted. Like that's what I'm saying. Like
not
even
warranted.
As an actor, we always look for like, okay, what's the impetus for this thought or this action? And for me, it wasn't adding up. I was like, you're just doing this to do it,
Well, and it like added a whole nother layer with the Diana of it all. Like Diana came in with a plan. She clearly came in with a plan to go after Sutton, and
But she backtracked
you
off
do
that
that-
plan pretty quick. You need no villain, here I am. And then
well-
it's like, then she just disappeared.
Well, I kind of feel like they started like reducing her.
Yeah,
or
once
something.
the
I
cease and
think they
desist
knew
started coming
this
out,
was not
I
going to
think-
work out.
Yeah, I feel like it was actually, if you actually time it, once those cease and desist started coming out to like podcasts and like, Gawker and all that stuff, I think that's when they started reducing her role down
She was
each
such
episode.
a flop. Ugh.
I mean, by the way, I will say though, Asher provided me with one of my favorite moments of the holiday party when Erika Jayne's like, "Let me up here." He's like, "Get off my stage, girl. Get off my stage." I thought that was amazing.
Asher saying to Lisa Rinna that he wants to borrow her outfit and he wants the whole kit and caboodle. That was a moment for me. Or when he was walking down the stairs at that party with Diana, get that dress.
Yes, like that's what I'm like. I will say there is something about the Beverly Hills Husbands, and like I'm not joking. Like I did not like. I don't know if I loved Denise Richards as a housewife, but I gotta say I was fascinated every time Erin was on screen. Like that's what I'm like.
God.
Well, just because it's not.
Yeah.
It's like I live for those moments of awkwardness of just like what the hell is happening?
Housewives and housewives husbands or partners and cancer. Like we need to stop talking about like we had Erin like talking about big pharma and cancer. We've had, Rinna this season saying she's going to get cancer for holding in the secret.
And to me, that was, I keep like, that was one of the, it's like, dude, Rinna, like chill the F out. That's like way too far. And especially you work in nursing. My mom has cancer right now.
Cancer nurse.
Like my mom has cancer. Like that shit isn't funny. And I was like, listen, I'll go a lot of places with these shows, but it's like, don't make yourself look stupid. Like you make yourself look stupid in that moment.
And then we had obviously Vicky and Brooks. We had Mia this recently. We've had Kim Zolciak in season 1. Y'all leave the cancer alone.
Come on. I mean, there's got to be a better let's do like
a better way to
Achilles tear or something. Yes. Like, let's do like a knee surgery or something. Okay, so Beverly Hills, are you willing to come back to be a Rinna fan? And did Rinna block you as well? Because I know blocked Steve, blocked Christian Grey Snow.
So I actually told Christian that because I realized I was blocked all of a sudden. And so I texted him and then he realized he was blocked. I think I'm assuming she didn't do this herself. I'm assuming she hired someone to go through and
I truly
clean up.
think she did it herself.
She could have. I mean,
I think she's that into, she watches Watch What Happens Live every night. She lives for mentions of her. Like, I feel like she was actively involved in blocking each account.
But I guess I don't know what criteria met for unblocking. I eventually got unblocked, I guess.
Oh, you're unblocked.
So
okay.
I'm on. It was soon after.
Did you bump into her at BravoCon?
Sure didn't. I did not. But with Rinna, and when it comes down to the Kathy of it all, and where Rinna lost me was she took it too far at the sit down. That's where she started to lose me. And however,
with Kathy, you mean at Kyle's house?
Yeah. So like when Kathy apologized right up at the beginning, she should have just let it go at that point, because I don't know if you picked up on it, but I'm sure a lot of people did pick up on the fact that Rinna was throwing out little hints of everything in that conversation. She said, you said a lot of bad things about everybody. She was not just referring to the cast. She was referring to, the DJ.
Universe.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
NBC,
Okay,
and the remember when Kathy really lost it and just said she was done, she was talking about, if you really want to talk, let's talk about, what you said. I think she's referring to, the alleged F.
Yeah, the F slur that's allegedly happened with the DJ.
So I feel like she wanted to get those things handled, but to me at that point, it was a lose situation for everyone. Lose for the audience, lose for the cast members, and a lose for production, because there's no way to show what happened when you don't have that footage and it becomes a she said.
Yes.
And
like this isn't an animated show. Like when we don't cut to animation and actually what Lisa said, we have the magic of cameras that can film things. Show us, don't tell us. And also, like I always say on this show, Rinna at this point is not a reliable narrator. We don't trust her. So even if Kathy said these things, I don't trust Rinna because she's been proven too many times to embellish things and to make things. So I believe Kathy had some sort of meltdown. Like, but as a gay man, Steven, where do you fall? And I know you like Kathy and you like, I mean, where do you fall on this even with Kathy? Like, well,
I actually think this is going to be a hot take. I actually
hot take alert, you guys.
I think the person that looked the worst at the reunion was Kathy Hilton.
Really?
And
I was shocked she actually came out that hard.
Let me break it down on why.
Break it down.
Because to me, what I find, this is why I was so like excited to come on and talk about this, because I feel like I'm watching a different show than everybody, or a lot of people at least. And it's not that I don't love Kathy. I love Kathy.
I know you.
Hilarious. Yeah, and everything. However, what the hatred for Kyle, Rinna, the Fox Force 5, whatever, is clouding people's opinions of what actually transpired in that reunion and leading up to it with Kathy.
Yeah.
Kathy lied on that reunion couch throughout the whole time. She said,
in your opinion.
Well, no, in reality, she said she wasn't mad about the 818, right?
Oh.
And they flash back to that. And then her first thing that she said, they said, "Were you mad?" And she said, "No, I was mad at Kyle." What the fuck's Kyle supposed to do about that?
I mean, she's consistently mad at Kyle, so I accept that.
Exactly. Yeah. And then, God, I don't know who let her pull that cell phone out and say, "Look, Rinna, my text isn't there." Like, Kat,
she obviously deleted the text. Like, that was a sad moment for Kathy, where I was like, oh no, Kathy doesn't realize that we all know how to delete text too. Yes. Even Rinna is like, come on, Kathy.
Even Rinna was like, I'm not gonna go there. I wasn't even gonna go there or whatever. And then she is really bad. She hasn't figured out the hot mic / just because we're saying we're going to commercial break doesn't mean that the cameras aren't going to capture what you're saying and doing. And she said to Kyle, "You haven't said 2 things to stand up for me." Kyle stood up for her throughout the whole reunion, the whole finale. If you rewatch the finale, she stood up for Kathy the whole time. But the thing that people are forgetting, that they're giving a pass of Kathy screaming at Kyle's face at this club. And just because Kyle didn't go with her, that they're saying Kathy's justified in being upset and not to. I'm sorry, if someone came up and screamed in my face and tried to embarrass me in front of a whole crowd of people, I'm not going to be running to their defense right away. Like, her saying we're all going to talk about it or whatever, like that post from back then. Yeah, she was probably pissed, as I would be too.
Well, but I mean, to your point earlier about Erika, this is what I actually found fascinating about it, is that you can see this is a real sister relationship that has been going on for long before this show. So that's what they're bringing into it, which also then points back to your narrative of like, Rinna doesn't fucking deserve an apology from Kathy. Like, literally leave it alone. This is between 2 sisters.
There it is.
Okay, so then, but then also, Kyle, you say, stood up for Kathy all of this time, but I think Kyle was like standing up for herself, of going, I want people to be at Farrah's wedding, and not standing up for Kathy, but standing up for herself. Like, I don't want to deal with this.
So, well, before I get into that just reminded me, the apology. That was the other thing. Kathy said, and you made me like apologize to Rinna or whatever. Or no, if you rewatch the footage, she said Rinna is coming later, and Kathy responds, "Oh, good." Kyle says, if you want, you can stay and talk to her. Gave her that option, and Kathy said, "Yeah, I would love to."
But do you think that's a real option, or do you think that's like the producers are like, "Yo, we're also going to bring Rinna by"?
But it wasn't Kyle like forcing her this. If anything, that's a production thing. Like,
okay, yeah.
Kathy could have walked out at any point.
Well, I did love, but you got to like, Kathy is a true assassin in the fact that Rinna said all of these things. Kathy, this is why I like want Kathy back is, and to your point earlier about how we switch from like hero to villain. I'm just tired of Rinna, this form of Rinna as a villain. I want Kathy. That's my new kind of villain. Like somebody that's an assassin, somebody that like is bumbling. Like she took that Rinna stuff and she goes, well, it's time to go. And then she goes, Kyle, these are beautiful flowers out here. I love what you've done. Like not even her blood pressure wasn't even raised. And to me, I want that type of villain because the Rinna type of villain now I have seen way too much and it's so forced down our throats. But I do see if Kathy would come back that maybe that's a different kind of villain that I could get behind, you know?
The smartest thing Kathy did though at this reunion was say, and this makes my blood boil because I feel like LVP is a trigger for me, but and you drove Lisa Vanderpump off the show. And please, for the record, the only person that drove Lisa Vanderpump off that show is Lisa Vanderpump. It is.
I'm going to agree with Kathy.
Else.
I think it was Lisa Rinna. No, I'm joking. No, I'm joking. But I will say, look, by the way, he's got so offended. Oh. I will say though, it was kind of like a sudden moment where I thought Kathy didn't have it in her to put those sentences together. Like I was like,
oh, she had a whole team there. I'm sure,
also,
like
Kyle
prep.
Totally, but at least she remembered what to say. Kyle, by the way, I was and Kyle gets a lot of unfair, I think, pokes, but at the same time, that Kim Richards stuff has been there for so long. The fact that Kyle didn't say, Rinna, back the fuck, like you did this to my sister, like the fact that Kathy is the one that said that to me frustrates me but it shows the family dynamic Kim? There too. About Kim, like, is that?
Oh, I found it very interesting that Kathy decided to bring that up now. Like she's had this whole past 2 seasons where if she really was triggered by what she did to her sister, why was this never talked about before?
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I mean, like I guess where we started is do you think there's a chance in hell Kim Richards would ever come back?
So whenever we randomly had lunch a while back and
you and Kim Richards?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
how is she doing?
It was actually so random.
We were at Chipotle. Yeah, I just bumped into her. Yeah.
My boyfriend and I were in the middle of our like hunting for our new apartment. And I literally just happened to look to the left out the window and Kim's getting out of her car. And I was like, oh my God. So I like got out and said hi to her and we caught up. And then I went back to go toward the apartment and she had texted me and was like, you know, we're grabbing lunch down here. If you finish early, come back. And
you're like, we're finishing early.
Yeah. Oh, I literally was like, oh, looks great. All right, heading out.
Was she good?
She was good. They were wedding dress shopping for wait, was it wedding dress? Yeah, I think a wedding dress. And the grandkids were there. The grandkids were so great. Kim was great. The thing that stuck out to me in our conversation was when we talked about coming back to the show. And I will die on this hill with her because I've said this in the past numerous times. Kim Richards has always been for Beverly Hills their fixer, essentially, in a weird way. So Kim, seasons 1 through 5 was full-time, right? She really is. I give Kim Richards a lot of the reason why Beverly Hills was so iconic, whether it be in sad moments or funny moments. And funny moments. She really, her life really, and her herself, her contribution to that show really made the show what it was. And so then she was demoted in season 6 and 7, right, to friend, but was still the main storyline in those years. Season 8, when Teddy joined, she was off. She was not on at all. That was the worst Housewives season of all time. Season 9, they bring her back midway through the season, and she's the first one to get Denise Richards riled up and finally get her in the mix. season 10, they brought her back again with the Denise lesbian gate stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
So they have used Kim Richards as, let's save, there's not enough going on right now, let's throw her in. And like,
I've never really thought about it. I really love that. I love that take on it. I've never really thought about, but you're kind of right. So like, are you saying though that like
I think
they've used her too much and they shouldn't rely on her again? Or
no, sorry. So I think the one thing is she felt like there was like respect that was kind of lost towards the end, that she didn't feel as respected as she did in previous years. I think she would want to like if they want her to come back, I think she wants to have a diamond.
I would want,
and
she
deserves
I would
it.
want her to have a diamond as well. I just want to know what her take on is seeing her sister Kathy getting into the mix. Like that's the conversations I want. Like, you know, every reality star now has their own podcast. I want Kim and Kathy to have a podcast where they're like,
I want
Kim
Richards
that
and
bitch
Mary
Lisa
Cosby.
Rinna I'd fucking kill, you know? What'd you say?
I want Kim Richards and Mary Cosby to have their own podcast. I actually want them to take over what was on the Today Show, Hoda and Kathy Lee. I want that to be Kim and Mary Cosby.
I want the third hour of the Today Show to be Kim and Mary Cosby. Okay, we've talked ad nauseum about Beverly Hills. We're over the hour. Could I just get some real quick takes? Do you have like 10 more minutes?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm good.
Okay. I want to so like Beverly Hills. So we're in our break now. We just had this thing come out that they usually start production around November, which we're there, and it looks like they're going to hold production until the new year. There's been a couple different takes on that. My thought was like, yo, these ladies still are not even good enough to like it's just like there's some real hurt here. They need a break. So I hope it's not as long as a New York break. But I don't think it will be according to the. Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know. Like I saw that I was sleeping today because I work night shift, but I did, when I woke up, I did see that blind about starting in January or whatever and getting a New York break. I don't think they would get a New York long break, but I think that is very smart for them to wait until January. One, they can figure out what they want to do with the cast, because it is one of those weird things where when your ratings are that high, there's really no reason to do anything. However,
what is different from New York, because New York's ratings were low. New York's ratings were very low in the last season. So to put on hiatus, they had the ratings to actually fall back on of like, these ratings aren't good. Beverly Hills, the ratings are insanely good. So you can't fall back. Like it's making money, but I think they're kind of Bravo's even waiting. Like, is Lisa going to chill ever? Like, is she going to chill?
I would not be shocked if she was put on pause for a season.
Well, I mean, she dared Andy to do it at the reunion.
I thought that was quite a choice as well.
I think it was just like word vomit. I mean, you know.
Oh, well, I do think she probably is. She was in defense mode, of course. You know, okay, put me on pause. Like, yeah. I mean, I think she is confident in everything. As she's puts on this brave face on her Instagram about like she loved getting booed. I think there is a piece of her that is like, I feel like she's still iconic in her own right, I guess, for this show. However, I think her things have really shifted in a different direction than it ever has.
I don't even think she counted on, but it's also the egos of these ladies are why we celebrate them. But at the same time, they've got to be really careful because it's why we turn on them as well as a balance. Fan base. Yes. And that's why I think Kyle, to a degree, has a balance. You know, it's like, that's why, well, she's called middle of the road a lot of the times, but I think sometimes that's balance. And even when she tries to like start shit, Kyle is not the best shit stirrer, like, because she's so obvious about it.
Well, this year I felt she was especially obvious about it. Yes. I felt like she's played producer the past couple seasons. However, she did it better the past couple seasons. This season, it was like she was not hiding it at all. It was
like so sloppy that I was like, this is what
it's like Garcelle and her doing the same thing, except Garcelle was doing it well.
Yes, by the way, Garcelle, like, this is why I feel like you need to give people multiple seasons to really like Garcelle has fully come into her housewiveness. Like, I mean, like I don't have like, it's like no notes. I'm sorry, no notes. Way to be like, get shit going. Also be classy, also be beautiful. Also, like, to me, that is a housewife. And I don't think she had that her first season.
See, I feel like I was just going to say, I feel like you might remember when we talked about in season 10, I was fully behind Garcelle then because I said, I learned more about Garcelle in her first season than I did about Erika Jayne in 6.
That's amazing. That's a great. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
You can say she wasn't present around, but again, my thought back then was she had no idea she was going to end up doing Beverly Hills. So she had all these projects booked, right? So yeah, she had to miss things. Obviously, that would change once she decides to come back. And that did happen. But what I will give her is in her first season, even though she wasn't around for certain things in her personal, she divulged and opened up about so much where I felt like, wow, I'm getting to know who this person is on the screen. Whereas Erika didn't know a damn thing about her, you know?
That's amazing. I love that point. Finally, so Beverly Hills on pause. We all deserve a break. Let's chill on the hate. Hopefully Rinna and everybody will chill and we can get back to enjoying these shows in the proper way instead of screaming at our TVs. Just real quick, if you can. And I know it's such a hard thing to do in a minute. But also you're a sick bastard and you dressed up as Meredith Marks for Halloween. And I was like, by the way, I didn't even recognize you in your Meredith Marks outfit.
Well, you thought I was straight up a female, right?
I was literally
I looked straight up biological female.
Yeah, I mean, like, no, I was just like, what the, but where, are you enjoying Salt Lake this season? What, we saw Jen Shaw at BravoCon, not officially, but we saw her there. I mean, are you, you're digging it this season and you're looking forward to what's to come.
I have to say the 5 housewife, cast doesn't usually work, but this is a strong ass cast that I feel like people didn't see really holding their own as a 5.
Each of those ladies are bringing something unique, and like that is really an art form, because remember on Roni on the last season it was like 5 ladies too, I think, right? And it didn't work.
Did not work.
Weirdly,
didn't Atlanta have 5? Yeah, with Portia, Kenya.
Oh yeah.
I think that was the 5er too. Yeah. Wait, Portia.
Was that the Bolo season?
Yeah, that season.
Yeah, but you had friend of you had.
We had Latoya. Yeah. But yeah, no, we've been struggling on the 5-person cast when it's been done in recent years. But this one, these girls are holding it, and I am living for that. I feel like watching this. I feel like the production company either really loves Jen Shaw and she's getting a hell of an edit, or they're literally setting her up to watch her crumbling.
That's down. Because I was like, wow, she switches her plea, and she's like, they're giving her all of these scenes of like crying and like all the girls like giving her the good room and all of this stuff, and like eventually that's why I think
she's coming off likable in a lot of ways.
She is, but that's why I find it fascinating that it's like we eventually know what's coming. It's like the movie Titanic. I thought that was going to bomb at the box office because I was like, everybody knows the ship sinks, but it actually still was fascinating. And now we're watching it with this like, well, we know how this ends.
I will say it hits very different hearing her like scream about her innocence, knowing that she pleads guilty. It really hits different watching.
But even at BravoCon, her coming into Tamara's room, allegedly from Tamara's own mouth saying, I'm not going to jail any longer, da-da-da. And I'm just like, is this girl just like lying nonstop to people? Is that like, I saw her dancing like she didn't have a care in the world, you guys. I told you, I was shocked.
My theory is I don't know about like, if she's saying she's not going to jail anymore, I feel like she'll be sentenced to 10 and serve 7. But I think she's waiting until her sentencing to actually publicly comment, and will probably end up being reunion. I think she's just going to say once the sentencing happens, she'll then come out and say, I actually only pled guilty because XYZ. I'm actually innocent.
See, this is what I was talking with Emily D.
switch.
Baker about that. I was like, doesn't that affect then her actual plea deal? You know, of like, you can't, like, you
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know.
That was the thing that I was confused about. And Andy said said we can't, like, he kind of intimated that they were cutting ties with Jen Shaw. So my thought was like, does she get to go to the reunion?
I feel like, so he also said in that I'd like to do a one-on-one, watch what happens.
Yes.
live.
Yeah.
So I wonder if
Luann one-on-one. Yes.
I can't. This is where the 5-person cast really bites them in the ass. I don't think they can do a 4-person reunion without Jen there.
You know what I'd love? Bring Mary Cosby back just for the reunion. She's not on the season at all, but you just bring her in for the reunion. Wouldn't that be amazing? And you just make her watch the season and then she gets to comment on everybody.
I miss her so much.
But Steven, you can't see, like, I miss her, but at the same time, it's like arguing with somebody that doesn't understand, like, doesn't speak the same language. So she's always going to have these amazing moments, but at the same time,
she speaks my love language.
But she makes no sense to the other ladies. So that's why it's like, she's not living on the
iconic.
same planet.
No,
you are iconic.
I will say, I think as soon as the other ladies found out she was not coming back or not showing up to reunion, obviously not going to come back to the show, I think everyone was like, oh shit, because she made everyone's job on that cast a million times easier because she's so unpredictable. You have no idea what you're going to get and what she's going to say and what's going to transpire. And I think that was one of the worst things for, so even though I think it's thriving without her, that was one of the biggest losses ever. You don't find people like Mary Cosby every day for these shows. Like that's the one. So out there.
But that's the one thing also, as I get further into the fandom and all of this, it's the one thing that we miss is that someday I hope there is a producer podcast with all, like, because I want to know the conversations that go down with, like, the debates of, like, keeping Mary Cosby or leaving, like, with the actual production staff. Because those are things that would fascinate me, like where Bravo comes into play. You know, like, those are the things that I truly wonder about as I move, you know, as I watch these ladies so much. I genuinely now wonder what happens behind the scenes and who gets to argue for what cut, who gets to argue, you know, like, that's what I'm curious about.
Well, what's funny is I think if it was up to production, I've heard that, you know, Mary was not the easiest to work with. Like they would literally just show up and
I wouldn't expect her to be. Yeah.
They'd like show up to film and she'd like not come out. She'd be like, no, I'm not doing it. Like, which, so like,
iconic.
I feel like it's incredible. Like, I mean, she's so fun. The amount of footage they must have. I want to sit at Bravo and watch all of her unused footage, her just talking to herself.
See, Steven, this is what Bravo doesn't, I don't think Bravo realizes, is that we could get into an editing bay and just give us shit that you don't think we would want to see.
Yes.
We want to see it. Like, I would watch
her
just talking to mannequins for an hour. Like, I would watch that. Totally.
Well, I also think the next Real Housewives Ultimate Girls trip should be the cast taking a Sprinter van to all of Mary's homes across the country. She has like 8 homes, but they have to travel by Sprinter van.
And then at the very end, you have to have a Thelma and Louise moment where the Sprinter van shoots off into the Grand Canyon. Steven, at Faces by Bravo, you are iconic. This has been a conversation that I've been looking forward to for a very long time, and it did not disappoint. You guys know where to find him, at Faces by Bravo. He also has a podcast, he had a podcast, which I hope he has again, because he's excellent at it, but he's also a nurse with a real job, a real life, a real boyfriend, all of these things, but he makes us laugh constantly. Please say you'll come back on when Vanderpump Rules comes back on, because I would love
to here whenever you want me, baby.
Just to do an episode, because we didn't even get to touch that, and I know Schwartz and Sandy's, I think, is opening tonight.
So
I cannot wait to get your take. Are you going tonight?
No, I work tonight, but I saw the post yesterday and I was so bummed because I would love to go see it.
Yo, I got to see it for like the Daily Mail party, and it's like, I mean, I think there's a lot of stuff that's been done since then because that was months ago, but it's like exciting. I hope everything works out. It's, you know,
when are we getting a trailer?
I mean, if they were smart, it would be in the next week and a half.
We didn't get it at BravoCon.
Yeah, that's what even and the cast didn't even know, because I talked to Ariana and she said, yeah, we might get a trailer. Like, we're not, she's like, last one, they showed a whole first episode. And she's like, I know we're not doing that. She's like, but she's like, maybe we'll do it. They'll do a trailer though. So she didn't even know, you know?
Right. Yeah. Well, we got some good trailers while we were there, at least. Miami. Can we just talk about real quick?
The Lisa Hawks, the Lisa stuff. I was there at that panel. You were there at the panel too.
Yes.
The Lisa stuff is so, you can tell how intense that was on her face with Lenny's new girlfriend and stuff. Like, Lisa looks amazing, by the way. Yeah.
The production, the way that putting them on pause for how many years? 10 years, probably. And then coming back and elevating that damn show to what it is.
And that's why people got to realize it's out there, you guys. Get on board now. I'm telling you, don't make this be like another Potomac. Leah Black shows back up in the trailer.
I am dead over that. I feel like she would come back to the show. I feel like her thing that keeps her from the show is, I mean, her husband represented Jeffrey Epstein, I believe, right?
I know.
So that would be, of course, a low-hanging fruit of conversation.
And Larsa would bring that up immediately.
Oh, yeah. Or Adriana, because they still haven't resolved. Let's be real. Adriana would bring it up first day of filming. She wouldn't even let her get it, acquainted with it again. She'd say,
no, the Miami thing looks amazing. So, I mean, the state of the Bravo union, our union is strong. We have survived another season of Beverly Hills. And I think you actually brought so many good, interesting takes that I actually will keep thinking about. The thing that I keep going back to is that Kathy Hilton making direct eye contact with Rinna in the Sprinter van, and that's what stopped Rinna from being on her phone, actually makes so much sense to me that I was like, that's kind of brilliant.
Could you imagine how angry Kathy would get if she
That's what I'm saying. And just not breaking eye. It's like, it's the true Halloween kills.
Yes.
What else is coming out that we need to know about for you? Are you, I mean, at Faces by Bravo, you're always producing content. DirecTV, you work with them all the time. You can go to their DirecTV YouTube channel and see
links
all
in my bio
of
too.
Yeah, the hilarious takes he does on there. Anything else coming up that we need to know about?
That's about it. Just follow me, Faces by Bravo. And I just appreciate you having me on today, because I needed to get this off my chest.
I'm glad. I hope you feel cleansed, and I hope you are welcome back anytime. And please invite me to more of your gay events. I really want to come.
Ryan is going to the next gay warehouse party downtown.
I'm at a circuit party all of a sudden. I'm like, what the? Everybody's calling me a bear. Okay, bye, dude.